Hello everyone, my name is Deborah Walker and I'm here today to answer this week's discussion prompt, which asks us to identify the 5 steps in the strategic control process and explain why it's critical to identify the appropriate strategic control standards for a firm. In order to answer that question, we must first define what the strategic control process actually is. Now, according to the Parnell Strategic Management textbook, it can be defined as the process of determining the extent to which an organization's strategies are successful in attaining its goals and objectives. Furthermore, after a strategy has been implemented, the company should evaluate whether or not it worked. And if it hasn't, it has to make adjustments to get the company back on track toward realizing its actual intended strategy. That's where the control part comes in. Now let's examine the strategic control process. It involves 5 steps that must be taken toward achieving successful strategic outcomes. Now, step 1 would be to identify which internal factors that would effectively measure success and which external factors might have an effect on the success of the implementation of the strategy. For example, strategic initiatives geared towards greater innovation should actually focus on R&D related factors. Step 2, set specific and feasible standards that are based on things like best practices or other benchmarks with which to accurately compare the firm's performance against after the strategy has been implemented. An example would be to measure profitability and growth using financial ratios based on past performance, or they could be based on industry-wide performance. However, you must keep in mind that the key to using standards and benchmarks is that the ones used should actually be the ones that are aligned with the firm's strategy, but also taken within the context of the industry as well. Using only past performance as a benchmark will not address industry trends. Market share could be another performance standard that can be measured. Setting quality standards could be another benchmark that can be set and measured. Step 3, measure the firm's actual performance, both quantitatively and qualitatively. Quantitative means quantifying with actual numbers. Qualitative means to evaluate effectiveness. Step 4 would be to compare the firm's performance with the previously set standards or benchmarks from step number 2. And step 5, if the firm doesn't meet the standards, then corrective action must be taken to ameliorate the performance. It's imperative for firms to monitor progress toward achieving their objectives, because without controls or specific metrics, companies will not be able to effectively gauge their performance. Strategic controls also help firms to adapt to uncertainty and sudden changes that may come up in the external environment. Finally, strategic controls can be viewed as a way for firms to engage in and continuously improve their strategies and performance. Now, one more thing before I go. Since this is the last video we'll be doing for the bachelor's program at PBSC, I would like to take this opportunity to wish you all well and much great success in your future endeavors. Thank you for watching.